So I'll kind of give you an update on where the market is at. I don't know. Have you been following things at all?
I just know that there was a big downturn in the market, what, yesterday or day before yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, NASDAQ was down 5% yesterday. That's this big red candle. Well, yeah, it was yesterday. Getting a little bit of a bounce here. And what happened is the inflation numbers came out at 8.3%.
Yeah.
Which was hotter than expected. They expected 8.1%. And so immediately the market pulled back. And fortunately, another one of Rob's clients, his name's Casual, he had just funded his account and been set up on the platform. I actually got the pleasure to meet him out in Riverside, California. And he just funded his account for $250,000. And I think we just closed his position. Actually, I know we just closed it about 45 minutes ago. And, you know, it doesn't happen like this every time, but basically, as soon as we broke below this wick right here, I had a trigger order in place and we captured all this drop right here. And then we just got stopped out here, like about somewhere right around here. And so what's happening is the dollar has been skyrocketing. This is the US dollar. Believe it or not, everybody thinks the dollar's getting weak, but this is the dollar since May this past year. It's literally up 23%. And in US dollar terms, that is like unheard of.
Yeah.
And so when the dollar goes up, risk assets typically go down. And I think we talked about that on our initial call, that the stock market is very likely going to dump, you know, because of this red candle. Sorry, it's not super visible here, but this is a big indicator that, hey, stock market's probably going to come down to this level right here. This is the S&P 500. And, you know, why is that? Well, the Fed said, you know, I don't know how much you watched the Jerome Powell speeches, but he had a meeting at Jackson Hole and he said, look, we're going to raise rates. We have to, basically, we're going to have to inflict more pain, right?
Yeah.
In order to tamp down inflation, they got to make people feel poor, right? And how do they make people feel poor? Their 401ks got to turn into a 201k, right? They got to lose a lot of money and then they'll stop spending so much money. And as of now, since 2019, which is, you know, this is July, so call it January 2019, if you invested in the NASDAQ, you're still up 56, sorry, the S&P, you're up 56%. I think in the NASDAQ, you're up 40%. So people that haven't really felt the pain yet. Yeah. And that's what he intends to do. So we're going to get another 75 basis point rate hike coming up on like the 22nd this month. And not only is that going to hit the stock market, but the real estate market, in my opinion. I just had a friend close on a home just last week. And he paid 6% interest on a 30-year fix. He needed to buy the rate down, which is, I mean, I was like, oh, wow, that sounds like a lot. And he just reminded me, he's like, look, you know, just remember what the interest rates were, you know, going back in 2008, you know. Actually, that's when I bought my home and I got in at 4.5% fixed and I bought my rate down to about 4%. And trust me, I've been jealous as I've heard people were locking things in just below 3% in the last year.
Yeah.
So
I missed out on that myself. I'm actually, Rob, you asked if there was anything new. Yeah, I'm going to be closing on a house here at the end of September. And I did not lock in my rate. I did something a little different, but it's going to be about 5.9%. So that's still way higher than it needs to be.
Way higher.
But,
right.
Yeah.
You gonna have a housewarming party?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Well, congratulations on the new home.
It's in Florida, not California, by the way.
Oh, good move.
Bless your heart. I'm going to be right behind you.
All right.
That is certainly, I mean, California state tax out here is just getting outrageous. And not to mention the political environment isn't too great.
Right. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, not at all. I'm just jibber jabbering here. I'm going to get to my point here. So, basically, what are we looking for on the next trade? It's going to be a daily closure below this level right here at about 18,500. So the way that my orders get triggered, I do what's called trigger orders. So that way I'm not sitting there trying to trade 50 accounts at once. I'm very good at what I do. I can trade Bitcoin in my sleep. And I'm very, very confident that we can, any kind of just a tick below this level right here at 18,500. The next stop down is going to be, actually, I'm going to show you right here. Right here at this level. And then that means we're going to take out this wick, and very likely it's going to bleed on into a move all the way down, probably around 11,500. And that is going to be roughly a 37% gain.
Wow. And you expect that to happen by the end of October-ish?
I'm actually looking at a move towards the end of October that, is going to net us that kind of a profit. Hopefully, I mean, keep our fingers crossed. And it's off a very reliable indicator, which is, this is called the 5-day chart. So it's every candle represents 5 days of price action. And the way I trade is trend, momentum, and volatility. So we're clearly in a downtrend where price is making the lower highs and lower lows. And this indicator has been 100% accurate for the last 3 years. I've back tested it. And so what happens is, this is the momentum indicator. And when we're crossed down, momentum is to the downside. That's kind of the first part of the indicator taking off. And then it's volatility. This indicator measures volatility. And when we get expansion in volatility, the price is going to move in the direction of the trend. And I define expansion when we come from a low level, anywhere around 10%. And then we get above 20%, which we just got above 20% back on this candle right here. And the average move down when this volatility expands is 42%. And I back tested it for the last 3 years. The average move is 42%. The first standard deviation, which is 68% of the results, are going to net you between 37% and 49%. And that can be to the upside or to the downside, but because the momentum is to the downside, price should move in the direction of the trend. And so I'm very, very confident. We could get 49%, but I'm going to be taking profits right around 11,500, somewhere around there. Close enough is close enough. And what I tell people is, look, how many 30% moves do you need to make in a year to make a living? I mean, not too many, right?
Right.
The way our platinum accounts are set up is I use 2 to 3x leverage, depending upon how confident I am in the trade. So I'm hoping to net at least 2x of 37%, which is roughly going to be around 65%. And our platinum accounts are optimized for $250,000. That's the exchange we use for these type of trades, is called KuCoin. And you have to meet certain principal balance requirements to have the leverage set at that level,
Mm-hmm.
and to also avoid a liquidation price. Again, if the trade goes against us, we lose just as much. But the way I like to set up for an optimum risk to reward ratio. So, I will have a stop in place right above this high. So once the order gets triggered, right, which will be right here, I'll just show you right there. I'll be looking for, and just to get rid of some of the lines here. So, we're basically going to risk around 12% to make 35%. And that is typically going to be a good risk to reward ratio. It's around 1 to 4. So that's the typical setup I go for. And my goal on your account is to just make very confident trades initially to get you to double your investment. Once we get to a double, then, we can always afford to put a little more risk on. At the end of the year, I'm getting paid based off of what I make for you. So it's in my best interest to make positive trades on every single trade. So I really don't like to take a lot of risk in the initial stages. And then my hope is, once we get a trend reversal, which will be, I identify a trend reversal on the weekly time frame, and all we'll need to do is, make higher highs and higher lows. And that's why I have this green box right now. If for some reason Bitcoin were to make a higher high, I'd be looking for a higher low, and then we'd be going long on the market. So that's just where we're at right now. And I mean, your timing could.
Chris, if I may as well, I know we've spoken in passing. Sean mentioned about her 200K. I know you got a million things on your mind. And then she kind of reminded me of that just now. Sean, tell Chris again your thoughts on that. And then, what,
well, so initially I wanted to just use some 401k accounts that I had at previous employers, and the value has gone down. So here recently, so I was looking around 200,000 to get started with, because I didn't want to touch my current employer's 401k. I'm not even sure what I can do with that, to be very honest. And so it was going to be closer to $200,000. Is that an issue?
So it just becomes an issue for, it's kind of difficult to explain, but to use, leverage, you have to have a minimum of 250 to have it set up on our platform. And that's just to make sure I have the proper risk management, because there's a liquidation price on every trade, right? So if the trade goes against you by a certain amount, you're going to get liquidated. We don't ever want to have that happening. So I don't know if there's a way you can stretch it. I can always use, less leverage, and, 37% is still going to be a fantastic gain. And it frankly, it may bleed on to a bit more. I mean, I have a target for really Bitcoin. If we start breaking below 10,000, I think we are going to do what's called the full retrace, which would be somewhere all the way down to around 3,800, which is the COVID lows. And I frankly, I wouldn't be surprised for it to get that low, given how bad the economic conditions are. And we're going to make a lot of money faster to the downside. I mean, it moves much quicker to the downside than it does to the upside. So it's, you said it's with a current employer.
So the money that is being moved over now, actually, I need to check Medicine Trust. We have already moved some into the Bitcoin account, But the larger portion, Madison probably should have received on Monday. So it may be ready for me to just wire over. Depends on if they were able to get it, cleared and everything. And
you're honestly, you're lucky you're getting it all done before the crash really sets in, because when the thing does, it's everybody's going to be calling their custodian trying to do something. And
yeah, let's see.
It goes even slower.
Right. So I haven't even my plan was not to touch my current employer's 401. I haven't even discussed. I don't even know. Haven't even talked to them.
Probably can't. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a current employer, you and you're not over 59 and a half, which
No.
I don't think you are. So you're.
No.
You won't be able to touch that until you retire or leave the company, unless you're self-employed. Are you?
No, I'm not. So that's the issue I had. So the accounts lost a lot of value. So now they're not where they are, where they used to be at this point.
I'm
so
totally willing to work with you. Obviously, Rob and I said we're happy to work with you around 200. I just have to set the leverage ratio so that there's no chance of us getting liquidated. That is the name of the game. So preserve capital in these type of markets, make trades that are easily identifiable. And so it won't be a problem. It's just, I may not be able to get a 3x leverage. We might end up at 2 or just doing 1x. And that's still going to be plenty of leverage, to make some money in this market.
Okay.
Sound fair enough?
Yeah. It does.
Yeah. So
when are you moving, Sean?
I'm not moving just yet. So that I'm still staying in California. I'm going to travel back and forth and move as soon as I'm able to retire.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
so I'm 57 now. I'll be 58 here next month. And I'd like to retire within the next 4 years.
It's a good plan.
Well, that's a nice goal. And, certainly I'm glad you're able to get out, what you were before. I think a lot of pains coming to the markets,
Yeah.
and not everybody's fortunate enough to get a conversation with guys like us that have a realistic approach on the markets. Those financial advisors are never going to tell you sell your stock and move to cash, which is like probably the most logical thing people are doing. I just had several conversations today of people that were like, yeah, I've been meaning to call my broker and I just never get around to doing it. Life happens.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
Sound the alarm bells, because it's right in front of us. And then, again, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball here. All I know is that, don't fight the Fed when the Fed's raising rates and sucking liquidity out of the market, right? They're unloading their balance sheet. They're selling all their bonds. They're selling all their stocks. Matter of fact, they're going to be unloading the balance sheet starting this month to the tune of $100 billion a month.
Wow.
And this is the first time they've actually done that. So it should get, interesting, and hopefully not as bad as some people. Because if the stock market, I mean, if we lose this area on, where is it? The S&P right here, that green box, did I delete it? Yeah, there it is. If we lose this area right here, I mean, it's like going to be free fall down.
Crash.
Like much bigger. I mean, we're talking about from the top to right there, that's 50%. The next level down right there is, you can see those highs coming back to 2008. And, if we went all the way down, that would be like the .com bubble burst, where it crashed 83%.
Yeah.
And, so if this key area gets lost, then that's when we probably see Bitcoin around 3,800. And I would love to see it go down that low. So I'd be happy to buy a bunch of Bitcoin at 3,800.
Oh yeah.
Then you're probably going to retire in 4 years. That's what we're talking about. So we'll be hoping and praying that the market does fall out. And so we look forward to getting you on board, and just wanted to give you an update before we put that capital to work. And as soon as your account funds, and you'll get your login credentials, and we'll probably be just sitting in cash waiting for that. And hopefully it doesn't happen here in the next day or two, because it could literally, by next week, I think the calendar, the 23rd is Friday next week.
I mean, isn't it a matter of just getting from Madison into the Solera bank account? Is that where you're?
And then, yeah.
Then it's got to go to us.
Then it's got to come to you. Yeah. So, I haven't checked Madison today to see if, they've got the funds cleared or not yet. But I think it normally takes 4 days. I FedExed the check that I got to them, and they received it on Monday. So.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Oh, and then Sean, I remember a conversation we had a time or two ago. You'd mentioned that you had some friends that may be interested.
Yeah.
Keep us posted if you have any friends. Definitely.
I do, relatives actually, and I'm sure they have the ability to come in at 250 with no problem, but they're not going to do it till they see.
They want to see some
something.
results.
Yeah.
that's fair enough. Well, we'll definitely give you a nice referral for any introduction like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
sounds good.
Pleasure chatting with you, Sean. And I look forward to giving you some good updates. Feel free to reach out to me and Rob at any time. And I hope you have a blessed day.
And Chris lives in California too. So if you need someone to help moving,
He's in Southern California.
Yeah, I know. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Hey, take care, Sean.
Sounds good.
Take
All right.
care.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.